We begin this broadcast with the big story. China could invade Taiwan by the year 2027. Top US commanders are concerned as Beijing tries to replace American military power in Asia. Taiwan split from China at the end of a civil war in 1949. The democratic and self-ruled country continues to live under the constant fear of being invaded by China. Chinese leaders view the island nation as a part of their territory. They have even vowed to take it back if necessary. Washington's top military officer in Asia Pacific, Admiral Philip Davidson, said, and I quote, "I worry that they are accelerating their ambitions to supplant the United States and our leadership role in the rules-based international order by 2050. Taiwan is clearly one of their ambitions before that, and I think the threat is manifest during this decade, in fact in the next 6 years." Unquote. Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby said, and I quote, "Without getting into specific numbers, we clearly believe that the PRC is pursuing a nuclear triad capability, increasing their delivery options, and they are working to improve the survivability of its forces. We also believe that they may seek to develop nuclear strength with a great power." Left unchecked, the department believes the PRC's nuclear arsenal could grow with its regional ambitions, but I won't go into more detail with that. Now, former US President Donald Trump was at loggerheads with China over issues like trade and national security. Meanwhile, he braced warmer relations with Taiwan. The Biden administration described its commitment to Taiwan as rock solid. US has offered continued support to Taiwan. In fact, the island nation's de facto ambassador to the US was formally invited to Biden's presidential inauguration as well. It is an unprecedented move since 1979. China has made expansive territorial claims in the South China Sea. It even threatens the American island of Guam. China's defense budget for the year 2021 will be 6.8% higher than that of 2020. The government said that it aims to boost military training and preparedness and enhance its strategic capacity to protect the sovereignty, security and development interests of the country. The admiral also warned about China's expansionary territorial ambitions. The People's Liberation Army has been engaged in a standoff with Indian forces along the line of actual control since May 2020. Admiral said that PLA has reportedly not yet withdrawn from several positions it seized following the initial clash. Joining us on this broadcast now is Brian Heo, who is the founding editor of New Bloom magazine, who joins us live from Taipei. This is a big story, Brian. A top US general has come forward that in the next 6 years, he believed that China could invade Taiwan. It just goes to show how firmly the US military establishment believes that this is a real possibility.
I think there are other factors at play, for example. One of the long-standing obstacles preventing China from invading Taiwan is lift capacity. China does not have enough capacity, enough boats to bring troops from China to Taiwan in order to occupy Taiwan. If that were to happen, there would be local resistance, and so China would also have to be prepared for a long-term occupation. That being said, there are also, for example, complications regarding the economy. If there was a Chinese invasion, that would create large disruption to the regional economy. That would affect Taiwan, that would affect China, that would affect the world at large. These are very large economies. And as a result, China's economy was slowing actually before the COVID-19 pandemic. It would also have to swallow that. It would have to be able to handle the economic shockwaves that result from the invasion. And so these are also questions, although I think the concern now is that China is moving towards having the capacity to conduct an invasion and a long-term invasion.
But Brian, suppose it does come to pass that China does take aggressive military action against Taiwan, how sure is Taipei of continued American support?
That's a question. And I think there is a concern whenever there's a new presidential administration of how firm commitments to Taiwan are. For example, the Trump administration was perceived as pro-Taiwan, as strengthening relations between Taiwan and the US. However, A recent publication, for example, in Josh Rogan's new book, states that Trump would not have actually done anything if there was a Chinese invasion. And so the Biden administration has sought to reassure that this is a bipartisan issue that is not just an issue of the Trump administration. The Biden administration has sought to differentiate itself from the Trump administration on domestic policy, also in foreign policy, having much more multilateral coordination with allies, traditional allies in the U.S. However, also just re-emphasizing that it's still committed to Taiwan, it is not abandoning Taiwan, it is not pro-China. And so I think that this will be the dynamic going forward. And I think Taipei is concerned right now at present regarding its relation to the U.S.
Brian, top Chinese leadership or the top leadership of the Chinese Communist Party has time and again said that Taiwan is a part of China and that China will not hesitate using force if necessary to reintegrate Taiwan with China. Now, a recent poll within Taiwan suggested that most of the Taiwanese, especially the youth, identify themselves as Taiwanese more than as Chinese. So what are your views on that?
That's right. It's absolutely the case. There is rising Taiwanese identity and declining Chinese identity. You also have a lack of mutual identity. That's also on decline, identifying as both Chinese and Taiwanese. And so I think China is aware of this fact, that it has lost a generation of young people. And the longer it waits, then the more Taiwan is out of its reach. And this is one reason why I think China wants to settle this issue. That being said, just as I mentioned, there would be resistance. These identity trends show that there would be resistance in the case of a Chinese invasion. China would like to take Taiwan as peacefully as possible. For example, China is also dependent on Taiwan in terms of supply chains for semiconductors. And so if that's the case, you want to prevent there from being that much disruption to infrastructure to assume control as peaceably as possible. But these kind of identity trends are a foretelling sign that this might not go the way China would prefer.
Brian Heo, thank you so much for joining us from Taipei and giving us your insights on this big story. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.